Today we're sponsored by Eladon Designs, creators of the trademarked Ultimate Shoe Bag. Go to eladondesigns.com, save 10% when you use discount code ROMAN at checkout. eladondesigns.com. The Mark Roman Empire, also a podcast, now available to hear on Stitcher. Stitcher is radio on demand. Download the free app today. It's available on iOS, Android, Nook, and iPad. Listen anytime, anywhere. The Mark Roman Empire, also a podcast. Now on Stitcher. Hey, what we say we get with a podcast? Groovy?
Spreading the news like mayonnaise on toast. Gary, I have a mission for you. Flux capacitor? Okie dokie. But let me tell you about that time I drove a cab.
Money that's something, chicks that read. I want my Mark TV. First, you're not on TV. Podcast. Now that is some weird and wild stuff. Did you know that, Ed?
Yes.
Well, Robin attended Juilliard. I attended Hillsdale. I'm a graduate of the San Francisco Comedy College. I've traveled the Midwest quite extensively. I lived through The Big Short and had a pretty good time doing that.
I've seen Pat Robertson jabber about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a subversive. So what do you think? Do you think I'm qualified?
Oh, well, I think we'll need to pray about that and ask your father.
Shut up, Marilyn!
The Mark Roman Empire. Also, a podcast.
It's showtime!
You had something to hide. Should have hidden it, shouldn't you? Now you're not satisfied with what you're being put through. It's just time to pay the price for not listening to advice and deciding in your youth on the policy of truth. That was my markioke of Policy of Truth by Depeche Mode. And wow, Bob Woodward did it old school. He dropped the book on a certain orange policy of truth. But hey, a little fake news from that guy who really hated Nixon. That won't deter the greatest president in the history of the universe. I mean, we now know the worst thing a former Cosby Show actor can do is have a job at Trader Joe's. While black. The infamy. Speaking of un-American black employment, apparently working for Nike, bad. And the solution is to burn your Nikes. That's how you make America great again. What do you mean homeless veterans need shoes? They're just bums. They need to learn how to pull themselves up by their own boots. What are you, a terrorist? You from around here? You even speak American? Happy Labor Day to you too. Pinko commie. Oh, hi there. I'm Mark Roman. Mark who? Mark Roman. You know, like the Empire. We continue to record here at Jung Records. J-U-N-G, Jung Records here in North Hollywood. Carefully nestled in the wardrobe houses, car crushing yards, and strip club next door district. Hey, today we've got Austin on sound. Austin is also the proprietor here at Jung Records. He and I share an insane taste for hummus. Seriously, Austin, when's the hummus party here at Jung Records?
It's gonna be soon, Mark. It's gonna be soon.
I'm looking forward to that very much. I feel like hummus infused with the tears of a clown, with hiccups. They said there would be champagne. So I'm busking on Hollywood Boulevard. Was I Lieutenant Frank? No. I was Captain America. Hollywood Cap in this universe. So this guy comes up to me. Older guy, but still spry. He had that well enough aged Hollywood vibe with extra New York energy down in there somewhere. He was wearing the kind of hat that would cause Lieutenant Frank to say, I won't need a cap till later. Maybe that was Beetlejuice, sorry. Sometimes I get the voices mixed up in my head. Hey, you know the hat. This guy gets in my face, but only in a way that's about as threatening as discarded Build-A-Bear leftovers. He implored me. You should be on a soundstage. Was he about to cry? What he didn't add, and not out here busking. But I got his meaning. He seemed almost manic in his concern, as if I was wasting my talents on Hollywood Boulevard as a busker in a costume. What he clearly didn't bother to discover is this. Whatever Hollywood soundstage you imagine my talents deserve, I've found the path to my next best thing has been on that boulevard. Busking. How exactly do you imagine a working artist building from scratch to succeed, let alone survive? Should I become a waiter? Should I become a bartender? Should I become a limo or Lyft driver? Should I become a prostitute? No, really. Apparently, that's an option for me. An alleged Hollywood influencer warned me not to do that. I'm still waiting for the idea to occur to me. Give it time. It's only been 10 years. Meanwhile, I recalled that same Hollywood influencer dropping Kevin Spacey's name in the most Hollywood casual way possible. You know, back when that name drop did not make you queasy. And yet, back then, it did. See, everyone has these great ideas. Most of them are ill-advised, poorly thought, and in absolutely no way well applied. And most of the people I respect who perform, whether on stage as a comedian or musician or on television, new media, or film as an actor, they all seem to be compelled in ways a career counselor can never prescribe. I don't entertain because I choose to. I entertain because I grew up in the Dick and Marilyn show. Without my consent. The son of Elmer Gantry's bitch. I had to endure 3 decades of pleasing people I found loathsome before I realized that they were all full of shit and not worth my time or energy. That if I could just let me be me, things cannot be any worse than they already were, thanks to everyone else's great ideas. I've discovered through hard, bitter experience to listen only to the community of coaches I've chosen that works for me, for my plan, a plan ever evolving. I call them my imaginary big brothers, comedians and podcasters. Take Bill Burr, the ginger with a stamp tramp. That's the man's words. Just this week, he said, let's talk football. So the Red Sox and the White Sox. And on his Monday morning podcast that dropped the previous Sunday, the one when everyone's feed was filled with a certain former 49er just doing it, Bill Burr pointed out, Kaepernick doesn't even have a gig. And Bill Burr's playing Madison Square Garden this November. Again. What more hope does a guy need? My imaginary big brothers also include Mark Maron, my Moses, Greg Proops, my spirit animal, Harry Shearer, the Harry Shearer, my in with the band, Kevin Pollak, my in with Starfleet, Tom Lennon, who's less a podcaster, more the top script doctor in town, and the best damn Aquabats party crasher and Sweet and Tender Hooligans celebrity guitarist. Some of these guys I've met, most I've just listened to and sometimes watched. So here I am now, doing funny voices among other groovy stuff, kind of like what I would do in between horrific telemarketing calls for a shady home furnishings buyers club in Michigan. Except now, I don't have to sneak it in between work calls. Now, it is my work I get to do. even if no one paid me to. I even pay to do it. An investment. This podcast has been initially subsidized entirely by my busking. The same busking that led me to be hired last week by a California highway patrolman. Oh, you heard me. I grew up watching Ponch and John on Chips. Last Thursday, my Lieutenant Frank was paid to entertain real-life Chips and a stray FBI agent I got a cite for being Scully. No, really. They were celebrating a newly promoted lieutenant, interesting rank choice, at the new Bank of America Stadium at Expo Park. No one told me that was possible. No one showed me how. I had to discover it on my own. Almost as if Hollywood, for me, was not an expectation, but an opportunity. A workplace of opportunities to do what I do, making strangers laugh, smile, and on occasion, think. And a place to call home. Now, I'd hate to let the guy in the taxi driver hat know that I actually have been on a soundstage. At Warner, Paramount, Universal, Disney, Fox, Sony, and the others. Only frequently. Mostly as a background actor, you know, the thing agents in Hollywood dread on their clients' resumes. You don't want to be known as a background actor, not an extra. You'll be typecast as that and never get any speaking roles. I'd hate to tell the manic taxi driver hat, I'm a SAG-AFTRA actor. Paid up, in good standing. He was too busy worrying that all I had on my resume was busker. Debra Haden, star of the film Scumbag, is our guest today. I met Debra while we were both background acting. But don't tell taxi driver hat guy. You don't want him upset at the barbecue this weekend as he gives advice to your agent. All right, you guys ready for some books? How about a poem? Let's continue on with my poem, Son of Elmer Gantry's Bitch. Buck 'em, Dano. Oh, shut up, Marilyn. And now, let us not pray. Instead, a reading from the sacred scrolls, Son of Elmer Gantry's Bitch. Also, a poem by Mark Roman. Roman as in the Empire. The most holy reading of verses 6 and 7 with refrain. To love what you're supposed to do is just a decision away. For those not burdened with too many questions to parlay. Produce for the consumers. Why not abide? Like the dude. Why is so fucking depressed and homeless, you silly white dude? When the vultures steal and enslave, why don't I in kind retaliate? Their tactics are worldly and wise. Why should I not embrace? And so to my ground zero arrive the charity of career counselors. What the goddamn fuck happened to all the emergency responders? See, scrolls, screens, and stages speak to me, indeed. So many died, some lived, that I might listen, watch, and read. But why did mommy transmit that curious reading itch? Why me? Kimmy Schmidt, son of Elmer Gantry's bitch. So say we all. Hey, for an autographed copy of the complete poem, Son of Elmer Gantry's Bitch, oh, it has an end, don't worry. Go to markromanempire.com and click merch. This week, all right, guys, didn't have a chance to get prepared here, but there's some cool Twitter stuff, some cool stuff on Instagram. You'll definitely want to check out. We'll throw it in the show notes, but you can always go to my Twitter at @TheMarkRoman or my Instagram, Vegas90210, like the Tory spelling vehicle. One thing I can recall off the top of my head, you definitely want to see the picture of the newly promoted California Highway Patrol lieutenant and my Lieutenant Frank striking a pose at Bank of California Stadium. So look for that in the show notes. I definitely slave over those show notes. Please look at them. I'm begging you. The Mark Roman Empire, also a podcast, sponsored by Eladon Designs. There's got to be a better way to travel with your shoes. Now there is. The trademarked Ultimate Shoe Bag by Eladon Designs. Travel your shoes easier. Up to 8 pairs at a time, many styles to choose. To view the commercial and demo video, go to eladondesigns.com. Hey, you can save 10% when you use discount code ROMAN at checkout. eladondesigns.com. The characters of Vegas 90210, from the signature Lieutenant Frank in women's short shorts and rainbow tactical leg warmers, to Hollywood Cap, the Captain America of the Hollywood Avengers. Ron Burgundy, Buddy the Elf, and Beetlejuice available by special order. Last week, a California Highway Patrolman hired Lieutenant Frank to interact with guests at a new CHP Lieutenant Promotion Luncheon at Bank of California Stadium at Expo Park. Remember, I put the I in improv. That goes for all of my characters as well. Book a Vegas 90210 character for your event today at vegas90210.com. Mark Roman Empire merch. Help us out here, guys. You can get my poem, Son of Elmer Gantry's Bitch, autographed. There's the Lieutenant Frank citations. Deborah got one today, our guest. It was also previously issued to Kelly Osbourne and David Spade. And 8,480 odd something others. Also, Lieutenant Frank headshots, autographed. Tom Lennon loves his. This is all groovy stuff that keeps this podcast rolling, guys. So buy my poem, citation, or headshot today at markromanempire.com. Click merch. Hey, you can now hear this podcast on Stitcher. What is Stitcher? It's radio on demand. You can download the free app today. Listen anytime, anywhere. Stitcher is an award-winning free app that lets you listen to all your favorite shows, plus discover from 65,000 news, entertainment, and sports shows. You can create custom playlists. There's over 20,000 shows to discover. Hey, don't forget to rate and review my show on Stitcher. It's available on iOS, Android, Nook, and iPad. It's also in over 4 million car dashboards, maybe yours. On demand and on the go. No downloading, no syncing, no wasted memory. Stream your favorite podcasts. Don't have Stitcher? Download it free today at Stitcher.com or in the App Store. And don't forget, guys, rating and the reviews of this show, it affects my Stitcher list rank and the discoverability of my show. So help me grow the show, guys. Thanks for supporting my podcast. Book 'em, Dano. Apparently, everyone's favorite pope suddenly discovered that priests and nuns were abusing and fucking underage boys and girls. He had no idea. He's going to get to the bottom of it, though, and he needs our help. Well, he did ask for it. Before too many people took him up on it and started speaking out. Now he says we need only silence and prayer. Hey, I'm still a Catholic. Oh, yeah. My name is still in some fucking holy memo pad up at St. Isidore's in Danville in the San Francisco Bay Area. Apparently, more than simply my consent is required to release me from the Fuck Kids Club, a.k.a. the Catholic Church. But the Pope asked for our help. Hey, what kind of agnostic but still technically Catholic would I be if I didn't help my Pope when he asks? As I mentioned on a previous podcast episode, according to CBS Evening News on the 20th of August, the average Catholic gives $10 a week to the church. which suggests clearly that America lacks imagination. Pope, let me help you. Help us protect our kids from your creepy clan of carnal relations with kids, clergy.
But if I don't give my $10 to the Catholic Church, what do I do with it?
Here's an idea. Why don't you give that $10 to a busker, a street performer? Yeah, tip them. Give them a donation. Here's another idea. Why don't you send $10 to Our Lady of Perpetual Exemption? Yeah, John Oliver's church. Yeah, the funny British guy on Last Week Tonight on the HBO. He has a real, legal, IRS-sanctioned, tax-deductible contribution-supported church. No, really. Check it out. You could also give that $10, well, that's how much of a Lieutenant Frank citation costs. You could give $10 to your local paper, get a subscription. I subscribe to the LA Times. I'll subscribe to the New York Times. What's the newspaper in your town? Check it out. Subscribe. I know everything's free online. Support journalism. Subscribe to your local newspaper. You could also use $10 towards the Life of Brian film by Monty Python. You should probably watch it if you're struggling with what to do with $10 you would normally give to the Catholic Church. You probably need to see Life of Brian. Just a thought. And finally, last idea of what to do with your $10 you thought should go to the Catholic Church. Contribute it to Planned Parenthood, because you know those priests don't use protection. Now, remember, I am not now, nor have I ever been, a priest. Except that one time on Adam Ruins Everything. Hey, it was a SAG-AFTRA gig. I gotta qualify for insurance one of these years. So guys, where can you see me next? Well, Lieutenant Frank might make a few more cameos on Hollywood Boulevard, but mostly you'll probably see him at upcoming football tailgates, college and NFL. You got USC, UCLA, like we did this past weekend. And looks like NFL season starting Thursday as we record this, which will have already passed when you hear this. So we got Rams games, Chargers games you'll see Lieutenant Frank at. There's also Hollywood Cap on Hollywood Boulevard with the Hollywood Avengers, which includes Hollywood Iron Man and Hollywood Wolverine. Don't forget, guys, you can listen to us on Stitcher and also on YouTube, where you'll find us at Mark Roman Empire. On SoundCloud, we are Mark Roman Podcast. On the Twitter, I am the Mark Roman. Instagram, Vegas 90210. On Facebook, used to be Mark Roman Creative, but we are now Mark Roman Empire. Subscribe, follow, view, like, share, retweet. You know the drill. And if any of that went over your head or you forgot it or you didn't hear it, it's all right. I got you. Just go to markromanempire.com for the latest info on the podcast, where to hear it, the merch that keeps this show going, as well as the vital show notes for all those references along this primrose path. So my guest today, Debra Haden. She plays Christine, a main character in the 2017 film Scumbag. She's literally on the film cover. Her and the other guy, she's kind of a big deal in this film. She's also known as the feminine Oddity. She designs clothes. She's an animator. Lots of cool working artist stuff in her realm. I can't wait to share with you a little of the world according to Debra Haden. Debra Haden. I'm pronouncing that right because you
yes,
was Debra. Okay.
Yes,
Debra Haden.
You got it. You got it.
It's important to pronounce correctly.
It is.
I had to change my name over that whole issue, so.
Oh, did you? That's why I was worried I was going to call you by the wrong name, too.
Right.
I thought maybe it was like a, stage choice thing.
All right. This is about you, but really quick. Okay. So immediately after World War II, my father, who's a dick, seriously, he's a dick.
Oh, no.
Don't call him Richard, okay? All right? He insists, all right? You know? He so hated the idea of being a Jackson. That was his blood name, that he thought immediately after World War II, the best choice, if you're going to change your name and you could choose any name possible, he thought the choice was Adolph Nels. That's a guy I want to take a name from, and that's why I'm Mark Nels, not Mark Jackson. So I thought, I want to change my name. So for some reason, I liked Roman, Mark Roman, Mark Roman
It
Empire.
no,
Here we
I
are.
like it. It's not. I
thank
like.
you.
I do like it. Yeah. I think that's a great choice.
It
The
feels right.
Jackson would have been cool too. I
Right?
mean, that's like such a powerful name. I mean,
I know,
that
it's
is
right.
a powerful name.
Right?
I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm
Ugh.
kind of. Yeah, it's a whole thing. That's why I'm the son of Elmer
no,
Gantry's
but
bitch.
Roman,
you know?
I like Roman. Roman's powerful as well, though. That's
Right?
a powerful choice.
Right?
Yeah,
It's a
I
great
like
stage name, great SAG-AFTRA name. It's both for me. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. But we're here to talk about you, Debra, not talk
okay.
about me.
Okay.
You know, and let's start off with where we met, because I remember you and I were like usual suspects in Hollywood for period pieces, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of, was it Mad Men? Was it what show or film? Can you even remember?
Oh, I can't. It was like 5 years. It was longer than 5 years ago,
Yeah, right?
right?
I think
Because I
so.
haven't. We were just saying earlier. I haven't seen you for probably 5 years.
Yeah.
And then we probably met a couple years before that.
Right.
The first time. So, oh, God knows what it was. It's so hard to place.
Could have been a film, could have been a show.
Yeah.
Gangster Squad.
Not that.
LA Noire.
Maybe. I don't know.
Let's see here. What was the Clint Eastwood one with Leo? J. Edgar at Warner? We'll figure
This is
it out.
one of those we could do
We'll
this
figure
for.
it out. You were
yeah.
on Mad Men, though, weren't you?
I did work on it. Oh God, I have a good John Hamm story. He's so nice.
I do too. All right,
You
yours first.
do?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so they put me next at the bar next to him and what's the other act? It's horrible when you can't
It's
remember
okay.
names. The silver-haired guy.
Yeah.
His-
No.
his- it was
John
his boss,
Slattery.
right? Yes.
John Slattery. He also
So-
directed a few episodes. I was in
so-
one that he directed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I like both of them as actors.
Right?
That's weird you brought that up because I was just thinking of this story like
It's
a
weird
week
you brought up
ago.
the bar, but more about that later.
We're
Continue your
we're
story.
standing next to the bar. I am next to John Hamm, and they keep moving me. Of course, they want their dialogue. That's all they want. They keep moving
Yeah.
me further and further out of the shot.
Because
right?
we're both playing background.
Right.
In
And
our
so-
respective episodes on Mad Men. yeah.
Yes. So I'm just standing there. And that's a whole other story. They wanted me to cut all my hair off too, and I was like, they're probably not going to see me. Yeah, so that's a whole other. We won't get into that. We won't get into
Copy
that.
that.
That was a whole drama thing, and the costumer. I have this weird thing with costumers because I make stuff. She snatched me up at the fitting when they were trying to get me to cut my hair, and she was like, "You will not. You can do something with her hair, and I have a dress to fit her, and I'm fitting her." And it's this weird like solidarity that costume people have for each other.
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of went off to that. But I know, and she totally stood up for me.
That's
that costumer,
awesome.
that she won awards. Like she deserves them.
Did they not
She's
know
a
that
nice
you're
person.
the feminine oddity?
Right.
I mean,
You
if anyone
can't
even
cut my
casually
hair.
glances at your art, like I may or may not have yesterday, you're all about the hair. It's like a hair-a-palooza.
Yes,
okay?
it is a hair.
So it's like
like you're asking me. I was like, how am I going to?
It's insulting.
It is. I was like, how am I going to do the things that I do and have my hair cut off? So, and I know you might not see me
as
If I
much
was
as
a
you want to be
gay player and I
Aaliyah in the
had a
remake
line-
of Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Right.
Yeah.
right. So back to John Hamm. They move
At the
me
bar.
At the bar. They keep moving me further and further out of the shot. And so
It was the hair.
The camera guy makes eye contact with me.
Yeah.
And he says something like, "You're doing a really great job." Because I'd worked on it with something else, and he was making
Well,
a
that's
joke.
cool.
Well, no, but it was fun. He was making a joke, kind of
okay.
like because
Yeah,
they kept
yeah.
moving me out of the way.
A lot of gallows humor among the crew on
Yeah.
pretty much every set, you know?
Yeah, no. So because people start recognizing, actually a lot of the guys doing the harder jobs on those sets are super nice, you
Yeah.
know. So and they start
Well, they're
recognizing your
professionals.
face, and so he made a joke. He's like, "Good job," and I kind of did my little stand up, puffed up, and I was like, "Thank you very much." And John Hamm looks right over at me, and at
Yeah,
this point,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know him at all.
like
I don't know
good
his
or bad?
personality.
Yeah,
Is
sure,
he
sure, sure.
mad? Is
Yeah,
he about
right,
to kick
right,
me
right,
off
yeah,
set?
yeah.
Like,
Did
what
I
is
just get blackballed
what
from the
is
industry? Right.
Yeah, what is about to happen? Like, I just did this little puff up thing,
Sure,
and I was
sure,
like,
sure.
thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And so he looks over at me. And looks down because he has to deliver his lines again. He's like back in character, like thinking.
Sure.
Does a scene. And then the camera guy says it again, right?
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh my God, I am dead meat. I am dead. And you kind of see John Hamm, like his ears kind of perk up, like he's like, is he talking to me, or I don't know what's going through his brain.
Right.
Well, then
You're just losing your mind.
I am.
You're dying
I'm
a thousand deaths.
Oh my God, either this
and it's
guy,
drawing out.
It's just drawing it out. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like,
but you have to work and be a professional, and you're like going, oh my God, what's happening?
Right. So then finally they cut and they're done.
Yeah.
And John Hamm walks right by me and he kind of taps my hand with his hand and he goes, "Good job." And so then I knew he got the job. I was like, oh, thank God.
That is so awesome.
I know.
Wow.
Because he got the joke that, like,
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I like this guy. Like, he's still.
And he loves comedy, especially stand-up comedy. Like, he's a huge, like, that's his hobby. So, like, he's always at comedy clubs checking it out, from what I hear.
And I watched something about him that he kind of hit his career a little bit later on. So, like, it's nice to see people that still have like humility, like they don't take everything so seriously.
He was a working actor, unknown forever. Yeah,
right.
And then suddenly, Mad Men dropped in his lap, and that made him. But yeah, he gets it. He knows what it's like to be a working artist, a working actor.
And be shoved to the side. Yeah. So it was like,
you're not the star.
It was neat to see.
You're furniture that walks. Don't say a word.
Right.
You're like a Victorian child, Don't speak unless spoken to. That's the background.
Exactly.
That's some background artist experience, right?
Right. And so it was neat seeing like he got the joke, and he wasn't demeaning. He didn't puff up at all. It was neat.
That's good to hear, but I gotta say, I'm not surprised. I don't know, that's the sense I got, is that he's one of the good guys. You always hate to meet a hero in this town because you're kind of like, I don't want to find out he's an asshole,
Right? Oh no, I'm super afraid of that with some
right?
people. Like, and now I've just kind of resigned to the fact that they might be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not disappointed.
Yeah. Gets through your day,
And yeah, it does. And I don't have a horrible amount of heroes anymore when it comes to acting. I don't know why. I think maybe because
you've been in the town
I've been in the town too long. That's why. Like, and honestly, I mean,
your words, not mine. Just a minute,
and if we're
have to be familiar with assessing the scene.
Right. No, but that's so. If we're gonna go totally off base,
sure.
I would say probably one of the most inspiring people like I can think of now is Conor McGregor. And he's kind of a jerk, but he's like
but in a good way.
Those athletes. I used to hate boxing. I hated boxing.
Yeah.
We could get into that forever. Like, I was like overly sensitive when I was young, and so now it's like the world.
I relate.
Now the world is overly sensitive, and I'm like, wait, you're like me, like when I was back here, and now I'm here. I don't understand what's going on, and I don't want to go back there.
The first ones are not free. I have a retainer. It's a process. Yeah. I'm a professional. Yeah.
But so these athletes. Here's the thing: when you do film, someone can make you look good. They can put makeup on you. They give you lighting. There's
entire departments.
Right.
Yeah.
They give you hair extensions. They do CGI to your face. They blur you and make you look perfect. So, but when you're a fighter like that or an athlete. Sure, maybe they could say some fights are rigged or whatever. They're like, oh, like how wrestling is.
Sure,
but
it's a live event. It's not,
a live event.
There's no take two.
They're bleeding their real blood.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm bleeding my blood. They're bleeding.
There's no stunt fighter.
There's no stunt fighter stepping
in,
and it's like it's all down to your training.
Yep.
And so if you're not trained enough in the moment, you are going to get punched in the face and you're going to be down on the ground. And so I don't know. They're watching those. My fiance.
Your fiance
takes Jeet Kune Do.
Congratulations!
Yeah, Mars.
How did that happen?
2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So
no rush?
No, there isn't because we made the film. See, I'm like running the whole line. I'm like talking and talking.
No, this is great. It's what it's about. This is like we're loosely based on the Mark Maron, podcast method. We just don't do garage and there's no cats. There's just more, subversives and buskers and background artists. So
Right. Yeah. See, there
that's
you go.
what we do.
That's
Welcome to
right.
Mark Roman
The
Empire.
Underground. The underground of the underground.
So you had a lot of stuff to do. So it's like a wedding is a production unto itself. You're like, yeah, we got to push that back a little.
It is, and
That makes sense.
After watching Mars produce something and direct it, and it was his baby.
Mars is the writer director of
yeah,
Scumbag,
he's
the film you're in, which we'll get to
Yeah.
in a minute because right now we're talking about
But the engagement thing.
when you guys
I mean,
getting
oh
married.
God,
Do you have a date now?
We're thinking probably around February now.
Oh, okay. Is it gonna be local or?
But yeah, probably in LA somewhere. But
Now, where'd you meet him?
through a friend, mutual friend.
That's cool.
I used to throw art shows, and I had a friend. She threw art shows,
Gotcha.
and she lived in New York, and Mars lived in New York, and that's
Right.
how they knew each other.
Okay.
Then she moved out here. I met her. I was in one of her art shows,
Nice.
and then years go by, whatever, things happen, and then she has both of us over for dinner.
Okay.
So I'd kind of known who he was. Like he was like
You
around
had awareness.
around the yeah, and he was a DJ
Maybe
in New
familiarity.
York. So
Okay.
we were all supposed to actually do
Kind
a
of
party
like
together.
the star, your co-star in the film Scumbag, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, okay. I'm not saying parallels.
Yeah,
I just,
no,
you know.
it's
yeah.
it's only based off Mars' life from
Does
since
he have
the 90s.
long curly black hair?
No, he
Oh,
doesn't
okay,
actually.
So it's a completely different thing.
But
Right, right.
I will say this: he saw our lead, Princess Frank.
Yeah.
Mars saw him at a show here in LA, and he was on stage. And this is how most of the movie came together. He was like, "That's me when I was 20. I know that's the guy. I don't care if he's acting. I don't. That's the guy. That's
Right.
me. So like, even though Frank, they don't look alike."
He's like, that's
for where
my ethos.
his
That's my mojo.
his vibe,
I recognize it.
The way he was like he saw himself in Frank. So that's how that happened.
Nice.
Yeah, it was actually a
Now-
lot of the film was pretty magical.
We'll get
So-
more into Scumbag
yeah,
here in a minute.
where we-
But so your guy, your soon-to-be groom, is he in the business?
He put himself in the business. Like
Explain.
He makes films. His degree was actually in film.
Oh, okay.
In Canada.
Okay.
And then he kind of
Oh, Canada.
yes, he kind of like branched off into some of these different crazy worlds. Because he was a DJ.
Okay.
And he was around
So he's in
Patricia Field
entertainment.
and all the club kids.
So he gets it.
He
gets
gets
it
it.
about, the lifestyle, the working gig to gig, the unpredictability, the weird hours, the weird travel, the last minute changes. He gets all of that.
Right.
Well
So he-
done.
Yes.
Young
no,
Padawan.
so it's very
That's a hard thing to find.
Oh yeah. Like so
It
many
relates
things
to 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Why aren't you available on the weekend? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Why can't you come to the barbecue?
yeah.
I'm not saying all your boyfriends sounded like that. It
No,
just-
but they.
that's what
you
my
know,
boyfriends sound like.
no, but it is hard. I mean, I was thinking back about that the other day. He found something in some papers, like it was an ex of his, and in the past, like 20-year-old Deborah would have been like, "What are you doing? Like keeping that?" Blah, blah, blah. But now I was like, "Wow!" Like there's like whatever is going, there's like no reaction because the type of person that he isn't like provoking reaction.
So he's
Do you know
not
what I
thrown
mean? Like, he's
by new
not-
stuff going on professionally in your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not. He doesn't do. A lot of people, they do these weird things where they're like trying to test you, like test your this,
Games.
test your loyalty, test this, test.
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
is this going to make you upset? Like,
Right.
if something is said to me via him, it's just because it's straightforward. You know what I'm saying? It's not him. Like
you guys have an
he's not-
easiness where you can be
Yeah.
frank with each other.
He's not like doing this weird feely out.
Right.
Thing, and then it doesn't make me do that weird feely out thing.
So you have a simple openness that
Yeah.
you can just deal straight and you're not wasting all this energy trying to figure out what the
What's he really
17
thinking? What's he really
hidden
doing?
plans and agendas
Yeah,
are
where
to try
it's
to
like this
tease
weird,
something out.
like, it's like
the
if he
testing, all
wants me to work on the like,
Because you guys feel comfortable with each other. So you have that kind of innate trust that you can build communication on. And
Yeah, and
long-term relationship. That's awesome.
I wish that for everyone out here, because I know LA is hard. People get like dating PTSD. I was thinking about that the other day, like because they're like their interactions
I have it.
are. Oh,
I have it.
I know, I had it too.
No, I have not been in anything even remotely looking like a relationship for, I think it's been about 2 years now, and I'll even say this on the air. Single,
ladies, single.
Totally single.
Okay, sorry.
Totally single. Although I might be in trouble. I don't know. I might be getting ahead of myself, but there's something on the horizon. I don't know. We'll see. It'll play out if there's anything.
Take it slow, and then
trying to go super slow, because I've I've literally been a monk, namaste, for like the last 2, because I'm so concerned about where I am in my life artistically as a person. I feel like I've gotten over a lot of things. I feel like I've learned some new habits. I've built some new things up, and it's all really crucial to me. And I don't want any of that to get destroyed, because I feel like, well, I've got to give that up because I'm trying to please this other person, which is my history. So yeah, I'm like, now I see myself almost like try to unconsciously sabotage anything that's even remotely possible, because I'm like, nope, there's a reason why I'm in a 12-step program to remain a single guy, you know? So I'm happy for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. No, I do. I wish that for everyone, because I had so many people, and not saying it's not me allowing it. Okay, I'm not like just being like, all these other people made everything awful for me. But you allow you allow people around you.
Oh, sure.
And if
you get to choose that,
right?
And you also attract things, whether you realize it or not.
And if you allow people, excuse me, that constantly derail you because they're commanding attention all the time, like you said, playing games, like
yeah,
I had exes that would try to do stuff to make you jealous, and I'm like, I don't have time.
Yeah,
I have so many creative ideas like that are now backburnered because you're trying to make me jealous.
Okay, and now I'm a little curious.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what is that
as a guy
all about?
like looking at this, because I look at you and I have enormous respect for you, and like even yesterday I was preparing, I'm like looking at like your website and everything. I mean, your sense of style, the look and feel, it's there's a lot of intention there, and it comes across powerfully, professionally. I'm just impressed. And I got to wonder, in a culture that is clearly still very, even post Me Too, highly misogynistic, that if you are in Hollywood, while female, while attractive, and you're very intelligent, and you got a game plan, and you got a lot of things going on, when a guy comes into your life, I can see a lot of guys instantly getting threatened because you're not some dumb bimbo that they can kind of have their way with and do what they want. You know what the fuck you want to do. You know what's up. And they're like, oh, well, shit, I can't pull one over on her. And so then they go into all the subroutines we were talking about earlier.
Wow, you so nailed it. That's like that was like many years. Many
That's
years
insane.
of my life. No, I had dang it.
It's all right.
Let me get a drink. You
it
gotta say
happens. I'm saying something. I'm not saying somebody, which is a Depeche Mode song that might make me cry because I'm still in a 12-step program to remain a single guy. Yeah. An angel just got its wings.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes.
But yeah, you actually nailed it. So then, I mean, I had people
That's insane.
do things.
It's got to really suck to be a woman.
They would sabotage. I did art show. I had one guy. I don't want to talk, bad about people specifically, but
you can talk bad about guys generally
they would
on this podcast.
Sabotage like something I worked on, and it'd be consciously or unconsciously. And I was like, wow, like this person is actually now costing me money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they just
your reputation.
Yeah, they just purposefully sabotaged this thing I was doing because
they're jealous.
Because this weird jealousy thing would come out, and
because you wouldn't play the role that they imagine for you
programmed
without your consent
to believe that is the role.
Yeah.
And so it does get frustrating, and I do get frustrated even with the whole Me Too thing because I did like my sort of like female-based kind of feminist all female themed art shows like 10 years ago, maybe over 10 years ago now. And what I realized and learned in doing that is if you have any form of female form, men make that sexual.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're showing everything or showing a little or you're wearing pants.
They'll find a way.
And it's sexualized. And so what I realized was in doing, even though I have like a underlying some sneaky little message in every show that I did.
Sure. Which is what I love about you.
You have to. The problem is that this is deep programming in people, and you have to change the minds of men. These powerful men that are doing these things to people, you have to change the minds of those men. And me standing here,
it's like rewriting the DNA.
Right. Me standing here telling you over and
fighting
over
biology
again
almost.
how you're supposed to be. Well, isn't that the proverbial wife nagging at the husband?
Yeah.
And he doesn't listen?
Yeah.
So
it's like a no-win situation.
I think it's a good. I was sort of happy about some of it happening.
Yeah.
I was hoping maybe some people would be a little bit more scared of how they're dealing with people. Like maybe it would fear them a little bit into being more respectful.
Yeah, it's not.
But it's not. It's
not.
not. It's a show. I mean,
and you got people complaining about
it's frustrating.
There's no due process, and there's a little bit of a point to that, but it's kind of like we're talking about a problem that's existed literally since the beginning of time. So can we have a little perspective here?
Right. And I mean, I'm not one to like. I mean, it gets touchy because it's like you think about how everything was in the 90s, like the movie, right?
Yeah,
how these
sure.
guys are speaking and talking and acting.
There's a lot of dudes in that film.
Yeah, there's a ton of dudes in the film.
I guess we are. Let's talk about.
Yeah, so
that's a nice little segue.
The thing is, it's the 90s, so people, I don't necessarily believe in like going after people for stuff they said in the 90s or did in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
well, I was a telemarketer in the 90s, so like I relate in that whole culture, which is very guy heavy, very testosterone oriented, very kind of like everyone's kind of like throwing their proverbial dick on the table to go, hey,
But the women, we were basically, you guys were trained a certain way and we were trained a certain way. We were supposed to laugh that stuff off and and kind of go along with it.
As if it wasn't, disrespectful and demeaning and hurtful.
And if you said something like I remember I waited tables for years and this one guy, a cook, he was drunk. I was crossing, you know how it's kind of touchy feely at restaurants anyway.
Yeah.
I was crossing in a hallway next to, and I thought it was going to be one of those half hug things. And he pulled me in and tried to kiss me. Well, there was another waiter there that saw the whole thing, and then he went to the management and complained, and I was like, I don't want any trouble. Well, then the cook started dragging my food. Because we got that they had to fire the guy, or they said they fired him. I think they sent him to another store, which he did. It wasn't like I know I shouldn't. What's the word? But you don't little what he did, but he was drunk. I wasn't gonna make a big deal out of it. Do you know what I like? It was just kind of like ew, like right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he went in for a kiss, and I turned to and it went to my cheek,
right? And
I was like, ugh, like what was that all about? And I could smell the alcohol on him. So, you shouldn't have been drinking at work, and you shouldn't have done that.
You wanted to keep your job,
but I wanted to, and I didn't want to. It was tough.
That's a really tough spot to be in.
What are you supposed to do? Well, So then this guy tries to stand
up for me. And how's the onus on you as the person who this is being? You're the one being violated. Why is it up to you to solve it?
Right. And so I'm like,
and sacrifice your hard-earned opportunity to make the income you desperately need.
Right. So should I, so then they kind of get rid of the guy or move him to another store.
Yeah.
The cooks start dragging all my food, meaning my cook times are longer. So then your table sits longer. So the slower your food comes out, probably the less tip you're going to get.
Right.
Because they start getting mad.
And the customer doesn't know. They have no idea what's going on in the kitchen.
They have no idea. These guys are mad because their buddy got
But they're going to blame
fired.
it on you because you're the one that's at their table.
Right.
You're the face.
And so if that other waiter guy hadn't been standing there, I might not have said anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like one of those. So then the big shots at their corporate, it was a smaller company, but they had a few locations there. again, I won't say names. It's so long. It was like 20 years ago. But
Yeah.
they take me into
Were
their office.
pieces of flair involved?
They're actually, wait, did we have? No, actually, we didn't. We had a weird little bow tie thing.
Okay.
But the
Were they
corporate
friendly
guys,
bow ties?
They were weird. They were weird. So
Just to use a random adjective,
Why not?
You know?
So they pull me into the corporate office. These guys, it's all guys, right, sitting there, and they're like, "What do you want?"
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh my God, I don't want anything.
Wow.
You wouldn't even know about this if this guy wasn't standing there." Like, and that guy
So it
tried to
became
be
this
the
big whole
hero,
thing.
and it was weird. That happened to me several times in my life, not just with that, where
Yeah.
like people would try to bowl me over with their energy of like, this is right, and you've got to stand up for yourself. And then it like turns into this big chaos storm like all over me. And I'm like, how did this happen?
And you're the one who has to
Like,
live with it and the consequences, not the person
exactly.
who's like, the Tony or
not
Tina
the-
Robbins who's like, you got to do this. It's like, do I really?
They run away.
Are you living my life,
Do you know,
yeah, they're gone.
They
they're
run
out of,
away after
yeah.
they start the mess all over you. So
Like
you're
the Monty
like,
Python skit, run away, run
what
away.
just happened? This is like
Wow.
a tornado, and now I'm in the middle of it, and I'm having to. And I guess that's. So when people are like, "What's it like?" Being like that's what it's like. I can't.
It's frustrating.
Everything I do, there's some kind of sexuality. Like it's just there.
So what would be your advice to guys who want to listen and they're looking at themselves here in 2018 and they're thinking, okay, maybe I can do something different with, my own life, my own choices, and my habits. What would be your suggestion to guys to maybe make the world a little better place so that, you don't have to feel all that pressure? I mean, there's some obvious things that I think are clear to everyone, but I want to give some more voice. I don't want to just be white guys on this podcast, pontificating. So
right. No. Well, and that
take
gets
me
hard
to school.
too.
I'm a
I
white
mean,
guy. What should I do?
I live with my fiance who I feel is very respectful. Do you know what I mean? But then you
Yeah.
have women with chips on their shoulders that attack any guy that would say anything. Do you know what I mean? So
Like they're looking for a reason
Like they're
and-
looking
yeah.
for it. They're like, oh, like what you just said.
'Cause
like,
they're coming
oh,
from
now,
an
now you're
injured place.
You're
Yeah.
mansplaining. It's like it could be
Yeah.
the nicest guy in the world that's trying very hard, and they're
Yeah.
still going to get attacked by certain like I said, the PTSD thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we here in LA, or just in general, humans, we have
Right.
relational PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say is, and this is hard, like you said, what would you say? I would say listen. Like really, or at least attempt with all of what you have to try to listen. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's hard.
So
Humans don't listen.
If I'm hearing you, what I need to do is listen more.
Right.
When,
like
when a
what
woman
did I,
is talking to me,
right.
look in her eyes, listen to the words coming out of her mouth, and let her know that I listened by repeating what I thought I heard back to her, because if I said it wrong, I'm now giving her an opportunity to.
Right. Well, and it's like try to process. See, this is harder I feel like for men too.
To imagine being a woman.
Well, to imagine being a woman, or just to try to put themselves in that position.
Yeah.
It's like we're all trying to do that, right? Like I don't.
Are guys doing that? I don't know.
Well, okay. See, women try to do that all the time.
Try to
Do you know
what?
what I mean? Like put themselves in the unless there's narcissistic women too. But
What?
yes. But
Not in
okay,
this town.
Okay, so see, I had to be careful because I may be speaking for myself. I try to put myself in other people's shoes all the time.
Right. Well, you're an actor. We do that.
Right, that's what I do.
We
right?
play
That's
roles.
how I was
so you have to-
naturally good at acting because I was consistently.
and yet in real life.
So, but that's what I do. I'm like, oh, how did that just make? So it's funny, if anyone in my ever that I've known that feels I wronged them in some way, trust me, I probably have, it's probably flashed back up in my memory and I've analyzed it 1,000 times, like thinking how that must have felt horrible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that must have felt horrible. Do you know what I? So
Yeah.
it's like I still have that. Those hit me all the time. Like every night, almost, I'll have something that come, and I'm like, oh man. Like that was, and in the grand scheme of awful things, maybe it's not that awful. But to me, like I analyze it to death, like
Right.
and like you said, that's how I was able to be so feeling with acting.
Right.
Because it's like I have the imagination, like that stems back from childhood, to put myself in these places.
Yeah.
So,
Where'd you grow up?
Kansas.
No kidding.
Yeah, on a farm. So it was very remote.
Do you have a pair of ruby slippers?
I do.
It's funny because I just heard a news article
I
today.
saw
Apparently, did you hear that?
that. They
Yeah.
found
What was it?
them.
The good witch, the white witch, her shoes?
No,
hers?
it was Dorothy's shoes.
Oh, it was actually Dorothy's
Someone
shoes.
stole
Okay.
Dorothy's shoes from a museum.
Yeah, but they found them now.
And they found them.
Yeah, and then some guy's like he wants to buy them.
Oh, really? I didn't.
They
didn't
interviewed
hear
this guy,
that.
and he's
Okay.
like, "Yeah, I'm going to buy them as soon as they're up for auction." Yeah,
Must be nice.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I know, because he's the one guy out of 7 billion people on the planet. That's a vital mission, is him having those, not. But that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. I'm glad they found him though.
Okay, so what is that like? Because get a little bit back into because we could talk all day. I want to do future
we could go
podcasts about.
all
But
in
what's it
stuff like
like
that.
being a little bit of a celebrity? Because you went to film festivals and a lot of different events promoting Scumbag, and you are literally,
You're sweet.
well, you are. I mean, I'm looking at the cover, and someone did some awesome artwork. But like you're half of that cover, and then everyone else, all the bros in the office, they're like kind of scattered around. I feel like it's almost like a similar type of montage, cartoony kind of caricature that the film Rat Race with John Cleese did. I think, if I'm remembering that
I
correct.
feel like
could be
that
wrong, but-
poster, the choices Mars made, like that was, there were some kind of throwback things because it was set in the
Yeah.
90s. And there were looks and
There's a
things
lot of
like he
nods.
remembered from then.
There's a lot of Easter
that he
eggs.
wanted to put in. Yeah,
and I didn't even know what they were, but I could just, you got
You-
the
but
vibe.
you
I'm like,
feel it, like you're like,
17
what is
things just
that?
happened. I know 3 of them, but
And there's even more, and I want to know what.
Yeah.
You could analyze it to death. I mean,
which is great. It's there's a lot to it.
there's a lot to
Yeah.
it, and I actually recommend for people to watch it more than once because you missed stuff.
Right?
Do you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like if you, I know it's hard to get people to do that nowadays because everything's so quick. But if there was any moments where you're like, that didn't make sense, or I felt lost, like we even had cast that watched it the first time and they're like, I don't get it.
It is an
And-
immersive experience.
Yeah.
It moves briskly. There's a lot of, it's a large cast of characters, but that's the thing. I remember when I was a telemarketer, you were in this boiler room, and it's these cubicles, and there's just a ton. It's all, everything about it was all numbers, game numbers, numbers, numbers of calls, numbers of people working there, numbers of sheets that you have, numbers you got to keep track. How many people did you call? How many people did you connect with? How many people did you pitch? How many people, said yes? How many people said no? All these numbers, all numbers. It's crazy.
And they were all so unusual. I mean, I feel like it would have really dumbed it down too much if he'd started cutting the people out, because you could just go off on each character and make like a weird little, he probably has like 6 seasons worth of content.
Right.
And when I met him, one of the first things he said was, I have a movie, I'm going to make you the star of my movie, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know how everyone says that in LA? Like, I'm like, I was like, yeah, oh,
Yeah, so
that's
how'd you meet
sweet.
him?
I like you. Oh, through my friend Heidi. She had us both
Okay.
over for dinner.
Okay.
He asked me,
Is
he
this the
walked me
same
to my
friend that
car.
connected you with your fiance or a different friend?
Oh, this is my fiance. My fiance made the movie.
Oh, he did.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you didn't know that.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay,
It's
no,
been
no.
a few years, Deborah.
Yeah, no, I know.
We're
Okay,
catching up
yeah.
here. All right.
Yeah. Okay, yes.
That's why I brought you on the podcast today,
It's all
so we can catch up.
intertwined, and I'm going to bring it all together for you.
With a nice, neat bow.
I am.
That has
And
been carefully
yes.
curated, selected. There's an entire department. Yeah. No, we have a bow department on this production. And you don't? Wow. So what's that like?
What's that? You need that.
You don't have a bow department. Wow. How do you manage?
You
How do you
get that?
And you're proud of your work? Wow. Oh, well, okay. Hey, it's a free country.
And that's a whole other area of disrespect people have given me because my fiance made the film.
Yeah. So obviously
So
that's how you got it. Sure.
Oh, that's how. But they don't realize like work things that I've done too for it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just negated. That's like
it's a
there
conversation
are people that do
ender.
that to me all the time.
Yeah, it's like
and I'm like, wow, thanks. Yes, I have nothing to offer.
Which is ridiculous.
When really, I was saying this to Mars the other night. I said, if we had literally no one to help us, you and I together could pool what we know how to do and make a film.
Like
with no one else. Like
it doesn't take long for someone who's even barely perceptive to pick up a few key things about you. Like so when when you came here today, okay, you came in, you were out back, and just like I know you a little. We haven't seen each other in a while. I round the corner, and you're just sitting there, perched, and it's like this tiny but powerful statement. And to me, as a guy who can be clueless like most guys, I was immediately struck by she knows what she's doing today. There's an intelligence that came across, the sense of style, specific choices. And I don't get how someone can't figure out that, okay, there's a lot going on here. I should probably ask a few questions and do some homework before I just throw her away in the bimbo bin.
Right.
Because I'm a guy.
Right.
And that's I get to do in this culture.
Honestly, I have women do that too, though.
Is that jealousy?
Yeah. Women do that too. So, and I mean, I can't blame, that's a rough thing. Women are kind of raised to be competitive with each other. It's kind of a learned thing.
Competitive catty. Fine line.
Like, it's like you see that lady that's like a lawyer and she's hot, and you're kind of like, I bet she's just.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of this weird. We have this built-in like reaction. So I see what they're doing. I get it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it like any less annoying when they're doing it to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm like, like I've had that reaction. I know I see what you're doing. I don't fully blame you for having that, but
it reveals a profound lack of curiosity.
That's so true, because then you talk to people, like you said, you get to know, and you're like, wow,
right,
okay, yeah. Like I did have stuff going on. I was producing art shows before I met him. I was doing all these things before I met him. Making myself into a good, a rounded person.
I challenge anyone who wants to dismiss Debra Haden to go to her website, which it's debrahaden.com, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And click on actor, the button on the bottom. Okay. I think it's the first one. And this page will pop up. And just honestly tell me when you see that page what your initial reaction is, okay? Because if it is, oh, she's just some dumb bimbo who sleeps around in Hollywood and that's how she gets her stuff. I'm like, really? Really? You're honestly going to tell me that when you look at that? And I don't even know, like, if you hire a webmaster.
I don't. I did everything.
Which is even better. That's kind of
I did the Scumbag website. I update the Scumbag website.
Stylistic feat. It's an experience. I was like, wow. And to me, it ignited even more curiosity. I mean, like, wow, there's a lot of cool shit going on here. I need to get up to speed and fast because there's a lot of cool stuff going on and I might miss out on some of it. That was just like my immediate reaction. So,
well, and then
you hearing me, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, you need to go do that first before you put that lady in the bimbo bin. Don't do it. I think that's a new thing. I think we just coined it.
I like it.
The bimbo bin.
I like that a lot.
Got to make little stickers, put a little hash mark through it. Bimbo bin. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't
no bimbo.
Do it.
Don't bimbo bin her.
Well, and then, okay, so try being me and then try categorizing all of these things that you do into one space.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
And then not having people be utterly overwhelmed by you.
It's funny you should say that because I talk a little bit about this in the my monologue before, which I just recorded before you came in here, and people hear it beforehand on the show when the podcast drops. But I've noticed with what I do, if people catch me in a certain situation or context, I'm immediately defined by that and only that.
Oh, for sure.
And I imagine you have a similar...
For sure. And it's visually what they first saw.
And somehow that's the only
whatever.
thing you could possibly
even
ever do.
Even my artwork, like, and I did it, my art shows, I did what people called neo-burlesque, which means I didn't actually show any nudity.
That sounds I want to be in the band.
It was like a
Hello, Cleveland. We are near
my-
burlesque, and we are here to taunt and tease you.
I think...
Maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You must seduce me first before I sing for you. I don't know. I have no idea. I know I made a weird
funny.
German,
like
but...
my friend Heidi, who does the art show, I think she was one of the only people that maybe verbally got it. Like that
Heidi's a
that
connector.
told me. Yeah, she connects a lot. Like I think
For
she's
you,
responsible
especially.
for a lot of people's relationships. It's weird. She does that.
Heidi, if you're listening.
Heidi, if you're listening.
I like long walks
Mark
on the beach.
needs to meet a girl that you know. I don't know
but
who,
the right girl.
Right, not just any girl.
A lady.
But she kind of, this is how, I think she's the one who like summed it up one of the best ways. She was like, no, but it's not full like real burlesque. It's like you're like, ta-da! And then the guys are like, wah, 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 because they don't see anything. And so that was the point. I was
love it.
Well, I'm supposed to show you this because I have to.
Yeah, it's mine to do whatever the hell I
Right,
want to
and
with
that-
it.
and
It's
that
called
was the
agency. Just like you
point.
get to do whatever you want with that thing between your legs. Well, why...
Right. So
Why can't I do the same
or
thing?
can't show you. If one day
Yeah.
I decide to show you, then that's my prerogative. But why do I have to show
Exactly.
you? And it was so funny. I'd have guys walk up to me after, and I'd have these things over my boobs, and I'd be covered with feathers, right? And jewels and feathers, and they'd be like, "You need to lose the feathers." And I would say,
You need to.
you need to lose the
Because you're
feathers.
their employee.
Right. And then
Yeah.
I said, well, okay, so it's an art show. Usually I was throwing them. I wasn't getting paid to do that. And so I would say,
Yeah.
there's places for you to go
Yeah.
for that.
Perhaps you'd feel more comfortable.
No, I would. I would just like.
We have a strip club
I'd be
next
like,
door, literally.
There's a
next to
place
the
you
studio
can
here.
go, and
Yeah.
you can pay those girls. Hard, they work
did you not
hard
know
for their
about that?
money, and I'm choosing not. You know what? And I'm not bashing anyone that does that. Like they.
No, but it reveals that it's
If
all
that's-
about in the guy's
he
head. It's
thinks
all
that
about
I'm
my
there
needs
for him.
as a guy. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, no.
No.
Like you missed this whole point circled
Right.
around onto you, and you're still standing there like clueless as to what just happened. And so, but that was when I realized like the minds of men is what needs to change.
How do we do it?
And how do you
do
do it? And I was trying to do it in like my own like funny way, but I think for some it got through a little bit, but others it just went straight over.
I mean, I found with
so-
issues of sexism and also racism, like I had a friend of mine who, I could tell he was like really frustrated. He would say some things, and I don't think he really entirely meant it, but I'm like, I called him out on it. I said, hey, dude, do you really need to do that? And it's funny because, I don't know, after a week or two, he kind of thought about it, and he said, hey, I appreciate you doing that. I'm like, well, yeah, it's not cool to do that. And I don't know.
Well, and I mean, if you're cluing
Maybe guys
in
can
at
call
all,
other guys out on it. It's a
trying
tenuous
to-
thing. It's like, how do you do that?
Right. And
without
how do you-
becoming this preachy person that people dismiss?
right? Because
You
that can
there's
happen
a context
too
of
if you're
existing
too,
relationships that people have in the culture that it's like, well, how do we,
How do we
tough.
make this shift? How
It's
do
messy.
I say this to you? How
Yeah.
do I? It is messy, and maybe. I don't see a big sweeping change because we're not seeing it, obviously. But maybe there will be these like little moments, and then
Right.
like you have stuff deep in your brain. I have stuff deep in my brain, right? It's back there. Like I have my programming, you have yours.
that we're maybe both still trying to
Yeah, and
understand.
you're probably going to
Yeah.
be. We're
And it
probably going
impacts
to
our every
be.
decision.
If you're constantly trying to process those things out. I mean,
Yeah.
this is decades of work we have to do. We'll be old maybe, and
Yeah.
maybe we'll have half a clue. And then I'm kind of hoping I'm that old lady that doesn't care and just says whatever. That cursing, like what am I really that's who I want to be in the end anyway. So all that's maybe going to go out the window.
That's going to be
before-
fun.
But
That's going to be fun. I'm not in a hurry to see that.
right, but I think it's our
but
job.
I think it would be enjoyable.
Yeah, thank you. I think but I feel like it's our job as people to at least make the effort to work through and process like these things that were placed on us. Or placed
It's a
in
job.
our
It's
brain.
ongoing homework that
It's
every human being
ongoing.
has for the rest of their lives. And whether you
Yeah.
have like professional therapy, or you're doing something to work on yourself,
Yeah, or just like reflect.
It's our
You sit back
obligation
and
just to be
you
decent human
reflect.
beings with each other.
Yeah,
unless you want to live on an island and not deal with anyone else.
Right, and
That's
you're
an
gonna
option.
fail, and you're gonna project, and you're gonna like that's very human too.
Right.
I mean that's that PTSD thing we were
It is.
talking
It
about.
totally
like
is.
maybe it's more minor than like if a harsh trauma happens to you, but it's like interactions with people. It creates a what do you want to call it? Like a pattern in you.
Right.
If it's a bad one.
The more you
That
do
could
it,
set
it gets
that
deeper.
just sets the time, and it just gets deeper and
Yeah.
deeper and deeper and more, and it keeps circling back at you until you get it. And some people, unfortunately, never get it. They have to be the guy that gets called out and goes to jail.
Right.
Do you know what? Instead of
Oh,
being
yeah.
like, "Wow, like I was such a jerk when I was 20. Like I really thought." Instead of having that moment and thinking
Of
about
clarity.
them and thinking
As the
about
alcoholics
themselves,
like to say.
so that's why I have it gets harder when you see someone that like it was 20 years ago and there's one person that's saying something bad, and I'm like, oh God, I hate
Yeah.
this because not throwing out what they did out the window, that it wasn't bad. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's like.
There's a sense of
It's
context
like,
and proportion.
dang,
and-
like he,
yeah.
now he might have like 3 kids and he totally wouldn't
Yeah.
even think to do.
How does it affect the other people?
Right.
And
And
does this-
is it a minor thing or was it major? Like you should be in jail. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, how much do I want to
But
pick
see,
on all these past
that's where I
people
feel like
that wronged me?
I don't
You know,
really
like
have
it-
the right as a guy to draw some of those lines because I'm not the injured party here over the past millennia. So for me as a guy to get upset, especially if, it's messy or awkward or a little, not enough due to process, all that sort of thing. It's like, it's a little too soon for me as a guy to go, oh, this is too much. It's like, well, it's going to sort itself out. And like, I'm not, it's for me, it's like also like someone who, has a different color skin than I don't have the right to dictate to them how it is for them to feel like equal citizens in the society.
right.
someone
And that's
that-
where it gets, because it's like you
Like
find
this whole thing
yourself
with
mentally
Colin
times,
Kaepernick
there's
being
time,
on
there's
Nike, Just Do It, which I think is awesome.
But there's times like your brain wants to weigh in on something and you're like, no, like I don't have a right yet to weigh, like
Right.
I don't know how that feels.
Exactly.
So like I can't try to make light of how that person is feeling.
It's like,
Do you know what I like?
it's
I can't.
empathy.
It's like
it's
you
like,
can't.
okay,
Yeah,
what if I was that
definitely.
person?
Right. And
You
so
know?
then you're like, okay, well, my best course of action is keeping my mouth shut and listening. And maybe if I disagree right now, that could be something in me that's a program that's disagreeing. Right.
Do I really have to say
and
something
then,
right
do
now?
I really need to say something,
Yeah.
or do I need to think this through and then be like, oh, right, I see what this person's been saying all along.
Because I still have that thought. It didn't go away. It didn't.
Right.
It didn't die 1,000 deaths.
Right.
I just held it
Because you're
inside for a
human.
minute.
Because it's
I
like
can do
it's
that.
here. Yeah,
I'm an
exactly.
adult.
And nobody,
Adults have that superpower.
everyone doesn't need to know that thought.
Right.
Because it might
Right
be
now.
a toxic, horrible thought.
wait for a minute.
And a reaction. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like some weird pattern programmed reaction.
Right.
And you need to be like, you got to think those things through. It's hard being an adult, isn't it?
It's hard confining our conversation in a tight little bit. We just blew through a whole time here. I could
Are
talk
we
for another
done?
hour with you. We're not.
Oh,
but we're
okay,
getting
so we should get back to
close.
Scumbag. Holy
Super
cow.
close. I know, but this is a really important conversation. I'm really grateful this early in my podcast to have you here.
Thank you.
And to have this because I think it's a conversation that we need to keep having and more of, and it's an ongoing thing.
Right.
So, and especially here in Hollywood,
Yeah,
as well-
ongoing
as well
work
the rest
on
of the
ourselves.
world,
Like it's like just work.
It's
I
high
think we
profile
just
here, so.
all, if everyone just works on their self, work on creating things, like create what's in your heart to create.
Yeah.
I think those are the important things: working on yourself, working out your patterns, and creating things you're put on earth to create.
And Scumbag won some awards. Speaking of
Yeah,
creating.
it did. It won.
Which awards
It won a
did it
few.
win?
Best comedy at Philadelphia. This is gonna get hard. Frank and I won an award. It was basically best song.
Mm-hmm.
at Hollywood Film Festival.
I have some of your pages here.
Am I going to forget? There's several. Yeah, Mars was up for Best Director at Queens, and we won Best Ensemble Cast at Queens.
There's a quote here that I really liked. It's not about Scumbag, but it kind of you definitely employed this in the film. And someone writing in Broadway World said, Haden's natural charisma was a refreshing contrast to the rest of the film's themes, making her character funny, quirky, and by far the most likable. Was that about Scumbag, or was that about a different production?
Oh, no, that was about Scumbag, and that was about me. And I would say that's pretty much people's general reaction.
You're a bright, shining star in that. It's like there's all these
Thank you.
male douchebags, amid their male douchebaggery, and there's almost a royal dignity to you.
Thank you. No, and some
but
of that
very
was,
much of the time of the
Right.
90s, like there's all this stuff inside you that you want to express, and a frustration that you were in a culture that didn't accept that, but you were trying to do what you could. And that's why there's some dance routine moments, kind of a la 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 Land, which I really love, not to spoil anything.
We
but
actually filmed that before La La Land was out.
That's what I thought.
So that was a coincidence. And I would
Yes,
say,
but it's awesome.
if we're going to say that it was a
anticipated.
throwback of something, it was Grease.
Yes,
which
absolutely.
I think that in their
It's not the
movie,
first time that's
it was a
happened.
throwback from Grease.
It was fantastic.
So, but it was weird. That was just sometimes people purposefully copy you, but then other times it's like more of it's like a coincidence, like an in the ether thing. And
Well,
I feel
sure,
like that
yeah,
scene was like
exactly.
an in the kind of in the ether thing. Like that was in Mars' script for like, oh my God. Well, he wrote the first in
Well,
like
we're
the
all
90s. So like
influenced by
it was
stuff,
like,
but it's a
and it
very
was-
clear, specific.
and it was supposed to be, I think what it was in the original script, it was a Billy Joel song.
wow, okay.
Well, we couldn't afford a Billy Joel song because we were indie film.
Sure.
And that was very
But it
expensive
worked.
to have a whole song. Well, Frank and I wrote that song, and I'll
No
say,
way, that's awesome.
I say it loosely because Frank wrote most
You've got
of it.
so
Frank's
many
a
roles in this
maniac.
film that
Frank's a
the
maniac.
more
He's
we
so
peel
amazing.
back this delicious onion here.
He's like such a like Frank. It's like you throw a line out. Basically, I helped with lyrics and like inspiration because I show up at the studio and Frank, Princess Frank and Joey Maramba, who did this. He was like running the board.
The soundboard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was recording it, and I think he laid the bass down too. They already had like so many tracks down. Like they're just like these maniacs. Like, I mean, creative geniuses are like, okay, we're ready, blah, blah, blah. And then me and Frank sat out in the yard at the studio and we're writing lyrics. Like it was that fast.
Wow.
And so, it was magic though. It was and we won an award for that song. Like, so.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
so you
That's
know
one of the
how-
awards, yeah.
So people, they try so hard to do something and calculate and sometimes it's just down to doing it.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, we need this.
Let's make it happen.
How are we going to make this? We didn't think
Right.
we were going to be able to do that scene because we couldn't afford. We were like, how are we going to afford to do this scene?
Sure.
And then it just magically fell in line. We had our actor Scott Myers, who plays Ryan. He's kind of the guy that hits on everyone.
Yeah.
To
put it mildly.
his
That's a very,
right.
very kind and polite way
thank
of
you.
describing his mojo.
He
Yeah.
had,
Others might say the guy's a serial rapist, but okay.
right, yeah,
you know.
that guy.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
Yeah. That's
but,
before he does the coke. Yeah. Yeah.
But his girlfriend at the time, she was a choreographer. So we're like, hey, can you
Nice.
help us? Like, I can choreograph. I know how to do it.
Right.
But that was adding like a whole other thing
You're already
to
wearing
me.
so
And
many
I was
hats.
just like, I wanted it to be like more complicated because I would have done
Yeah.
something very simple and it would have been good. But I wanted us to do something a little more complex. And
Speaking of complex,
yes.
because I do have to wrap
shoot.
it up here.
Oh, no. Okay.
I know, which is crazy because I wanted to talk about how I loved you wearing the Pleasure Chest shirts because that reminds me of Greg Proop's Smartest Man in the World podcast. He records across the street at Bar Lubitsch.
Oh, nice. That's
And
where
he'll
we
always
filmed all my
refer-
scenes. Yeah, I had
he'll
the
always
blue.
refer to the Pleasure
I had
Chest.
there's so many stories. It's so
Right.
awful. I can't tell them all.
You
yeah.
just did Later show with Gary Bushell, I think, if I'm pronouncing his
Yes.
name. That's like a British thing.
Yes.
You went to Vegas to be a showgirl for a British show.
Yes, I did. It was like weird how that all happened.
I wanted to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about your modeling, about your artwork, which my first reaction was, hair! I want to talk about what you do as an animator. I want to talk about what you do as a designer, why you're called Feminine Oddities. Can we do that real? Just tell me, where did Feminine Oddities come from? Where did that phrase?
Oh God, there's so
that's like
much.
Your trademark, right?
And there's so much to it. I pulled that together because, like I said, trying to house everything I do in one place, like it was very difficult to try to figure that out.
You're like, world, I'm sorry, I have a lot of talents. Deal.
I can't. Yeah, I'm a polymath. Like I was like,
hold on, slow up here.
Like it's
polymath.
someone I can do multiple.
I think my son might
I can
know that,
teach myself like multiple different things.
Disciplines.
Like I'm not just good at one thing.
Gotcha.
And so
you're a Renaissance lady.
Yeah, and it's hard. I actually I'm gonna throw
but
something in here.
But for the right price, you'll be the Renaissance man
because I always
you can empathize,
right?
Unlike a lot of men. Just saying. It's just a thing, you know. You're not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's your experience. That's all. Right?
And I'm going to add one more thing to everything you said. I actually have a new music project thing I started called Skunk in the Roses, and that
Skunk in the Roses. Hello, Cleveland. I love it.
And
so it's a band.
It's like a band, but it's just me. It's
wait.
electronic.
It's either a band or it's not a band.
Well,
do you guide a stage? Do you plays or an audience?
It's just me, and so we've kind of called it 3D
so like
pop.
Moby?
Kind of, or like Bjork, kind of electronic.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And I'm gonna actually debut it on September 29th at Catwalk in Austin.
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas,
okay.
And Mars is DJing because he's DJ
nice.
Mars. Mars isn't just a filmmaker; he's a DJ too.
And
that's how he started.
So
it.
I'm clear.
Yes.
Is Mars your fiance?
Yes, Mars.
Okay,
it's all one person.
All right.
I know it's hard.
He's not just a planet. No, it's all coming together now.
Yes.
But for everyone listening to the podcast, I don't think we quite dotted that T or crossed that I or whatever. I'm
right.
a mathematician.
We'll pull it all. We're gonna put a bow on this. So
nice, and it's a very pretty bow.
Thank you. We're actually sort of opening for superstar DJ Kyoki, who's in the movie too. He's in Scumbag.
Awesome.
So, and we're also screening the film there that night.
Awesome.
So this is big venue, and that's where I'm going to kind of debut my like 3D pop show.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Awesome. So if people want to attend that event, where should they go to do that?
Well, you can go to scumbag-movie.com, and it has all the upcoming screenings listed.
Scumbag-movie.com. We'll put it in the show notes, kids.
Yeah, but we have several screenings coming up. One on September 22nd at Zoo at 9 Deep, and that we are also selling our T-shirts there. October 6th, we're in the Planet 9 Festival.
Planet 9 Festival.
Planet 9 Festival. It's a film
Planet
festival.
Okay.
It's too hard to explain it all, but it's going to be at the California Institute of Abnormal Arts.
That sounds like a type of arts we should be aware of.
It is, and it's the guy.
Where is the California Institute of Abnormal Arts?
I think it's in Burbank. I've been there, and I can't even. I've been there for filming once, like a long time ago, but
that's
I can't remember.
That's like the last place I would think.
I could be wrong though.
Okay.
This could be where this is getting fuzzy. We're also going to be in Brooklyn. The film's going to be in Brooklyn, November 10th at the Film Noir Cinema.
Brooklyn, that's where Captain America is from.
Well, yeah. November 15th, we're going to be in Toronto at the Bovine Sex Club. So we're going to be playing there. I may or may not be singing at some of these club ones. We'll see if I can fit me.
Do they serve curry? I'm just asking.
I don't know. I don't know.
At the Bovine Sex Club.
I guess it's like a famous rock club in Toronto. December 5th, we're going to be at the Lash for a party. And it's going to be our 3 years wrapped party. So we wrapped in 2015.
Right.
It's been a long time coming that this movie happened.
Nice.
So if I didn't blow everyone's mind more, you can go to my website, DebraHaden.com.
Please do, guys.
And then
it's an experience. It's just to see like her actor page alone, you will thank us. But there's more. Delve in deep.
Yeah.
Don't toss her into the bimbo bin.
Yeah,
she's
you
also
better not.
all over social media. We'll have links for that. You can go to our IMDb, her Instagram.
Yeah, and I'm that person that has like 10
You're awesome.
10
You've got
Instagram.
a good
I have at
social
Feminine
footprint.
Oddities, at Debra Haden. Some of them I don't promote really. I just keep a hold of them so I have the name. Like I've had Skunk in the Roses for a while because I knew I wanted to do that. But years ago I came up with that name. It's just everything's like works in progress, and when you have so many ideas, trying to hone the timing in for the right place to put them, it's hard. And some I have to throw away because then someone comes out with something that's,
Gotcha.
like it took me too long. Usually I am like 2 to 10 years ahead of like the curve. So if I really, really focus in on something, it's mine. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sorry.
I think the important thing we need to take away from this, someone said this. Debra Haden's sense of costume is disgustingly great.
Yes. And you have to, that was translated, that was from Sweden. So it's so funny. We had to have Mars's Swedish friend
That's awesome.
translate it because I was like,
Now, is Mars Swedish?
Did this guy just call me disgusting? No, it's Mars's French Canadian.
He's French Canadian.
She's
Okay.
French, yes.
Gotcha.
So
He's not just a planet. Well, I think we obviously got to have you back. Can we have you back with Mars?
Yeah, sure.
That way we can get all the details.
Definitely. Yeah, because he's
maybe
he's really
sometime
good
next
too.
spring.
He's better at keeping his interviews like contained. You know what I mean? Like I go like all, but he's
quite
kind
right. I
of,
think
he knows he has to get certain information out, so he gets it out. He's really good at it.
We got a lot out though.
I think we did.
I mean, there's a lot more, and that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
It's a complex flower.
Yes, it is. You can't just like my website. It tried to contain me in one
petal.
one
but there's
hour.
so many.
How can you contain me in 1 hour?
Yeah.
You can't. It's impossible.
Debra, you're awesome.
Thank you. I'm so happy I got to see you again.
I am too. All right, we're gonna have to do this. Bring Mars back. All right.
Okay, I will.
High five.
Okay.
Fourth podcast complete. Oh, it was so fun catching up with Debra Haden. So much more to cover. We definitely have to get her and her soon-to-be husband, Mars, back on the podcast. She's definitely cool people, superbly talented, and a phenomenal model of a working artist. If you haven't already, you watch her performance in the film Scumbag. We'll have a link in the show notes. Per usual, speaking of the show notes, those will be up at markromanempire.com. I put a lot of work into those, so take advantage of them. Yeah, that's where you can easily reference any links or other groovy stuff mentioned during the podcast. A podcast that keeps growing, but still, I need your help, guys. If you like it, tell someone about it. You can follow, like, and share on the Stitcher, YouTube, and SoundCloud. We got more platforms on the way. Don't forget, making this free to you podcast, it's still costing me money, kids. So if you like it and you want more, support our sponsors, elladondesigns.com, vegas90210.com, and the merch at markromanempire.com, the Lieutenant Frank headshots and citations, my poem, Son of Elmer Gantry's Bitch. Hey, I'm still on the Twitter, where I'm the Mark Roman, Hollywood Cap and Lieutenant Frank Grooviness, mostly on my Instagram at Vegas90210. Where to listen to the podcast and my merch, links to all of that you'll find at markromanempire.com. Hey, seriously, guys, this podcast is like the working culmination of all I could hope for. It's fun to do. It's the best ongoing expression of me being Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. I'm just happy to be here. Here. In Hollywood. Well, North Hollywood at the moment. But I have confidence in whoever my driver ends up being. And it's early enough in the day that 101 won't be too ugly. Until next week, kids, I remain Mark Roman.